Lucas Paqueta to Manchester City could be a real possibility now, as reports are coming out there showing strong interest, and £70 million bid could be on the table very, very soon. And losing both Paqueta and Rice in the same transfer window would be an absolute disaster. Let's break it down. So yes, the reports that are coming out are true. Lucas Paqueta is wanted by Manchester City, and it's going to be pretty tough to hold on to him if City pay up what we demand in the end. And, these reports were coming out again from Fabrizio Romano. He tweeted that Man City have concrete interest in Paqueta, and talks took place with West Ham this week. Not an easy negotiation, but City have added him to their summer transfers list, as they reported. That's never good. When a Man City come calling for a player, it's going to be very, very difficult to keep them. And I really do fear that this could go ahead. And this kind of originally came from this report, which I've translated into English at the bottom, where Marco said, Manchester City strong on Lucas Paqueta, a £70 million deal. I'll be surprised if we let him go for 70 million, considering we spent over 50 on him last summer. But, Lucas Paqueta, towards the end of that season, was absolutely phenomenal. And he was instrumental to both our Premier League safety and winning the Conference League. The through ball to Bowen in the final was just outstanding. And all of his performances, especially in the second half of the season, were by and far the best out of everyone other than maybe Declan Rice. But I would even put Paqueta above him last season in terms of what he did individually and what he did for the team, because he became a player that was much more than the flair and, the trickery that people maybe thought that he had. It's not what we said he was going to be. And it turned out to be the case that Moyes finally figured out what he was best at. And that's disrupting play, that's being tenacious, and that's carrying the ball and looking for pockets. He's kind of an all-round midfielder, and it only took us 6 or 7 months to realize what he could actually do as a player. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's a compliment that Manchester City want him. I think that speaks very highly of just how good the player is, and maybe how underappreciated or underrated he was by a lot of West Ham fans at the start. He came in for a big fee, and I think a lot of people, to be fair, hadn't really heard of him too much, and they profiled him as this kind of number 10 Brazilian flair player, which he does have, but it's not his key characteristics. And I can see why Pep Guardiola wants him in that midfield, because he would be an absolute beast for Manchester City in that 8 role. He really would. He would be, arguably the better signing than what they would have done with Declan Rice if they wanted to recruit for that 8 position, because, they have Rodri, they've brought in Kovacic, they've lost Gundogan. They need midfielders, and it looks like they're not really placing that much trust in the likes of Phil Foden to go and play in the middle of the park, which a lot of people thought he would do this season, because, you look at Foden's key strengths. It's, getting the ball on the half turn in tight spaces. It's driving with the ball. It's finding space in between the lines. I think he'd be perfect for that 8 position, but looks like Pep doesn't really want to trust him there, or maybe he feels like he hasn't got too many options out wide, so he wants to keep Foden out there as kind of backup. But yeah, Paqueta for 70 million is the rumor from Manchester City. I'll be very surprised if we accept the first offer, and it would be an absolute disaster to lose both Paqueta and Rice this window. It really, really would, and it would kind of sum up what is really happening at this football club, and it's not progression. We really had a chance this summer to progress again with Europa League football. It looks like it's going the opposite way, and it looks like we could potentially end up selling our 2 best assets in the same summer without really a recruitment model in place. And if we lose Paqueta, if we thought we were panicking after Rice, watch what happens when we start to panic after that sale, because yes, we would have a lot of funds, maybe 80 to 90 million in the bank. Again, it's a huge, huge figure, but we just don't know how to spend it. We don't know what we're really wanting, different approaches, and I can see us wasting a lot of money on some of the players we've been linked with. I feel like we could probably just have to go back in for them, likes of McTominay, and just pay the 45 to 50 million that Man United are wanting, because we're going to have to panic at that point. We're 21, 22 days away from the transfer window ending. Losing Paqueta in that time frame, you can't plan for that. You can't plan a replacement in that time unless we knew he was going before. But that all came out as fake rumors before, when it was kind of saying he's unhappy at West Ham, which is probably the case. I think he is happy at West Ham, but when a club like Man City come calling with the pool they have, it's very, very difficult for any team like West Ham to keep hold of a player like Lucas Paqueta. So what would it mean for our midfield? Because we've already said our midfield's depleted. It looks like Alvarez passed his medical, and that's probably going to be announced shortly. Could even be announced by the time this video comes out. And then you have Souček, then you have Downs, then you have Fornals, who isn't really being played in the middle. So really, you then look at the likes of Connor Coventry. I mean, that's the part, that's the part we're getting to. Our strongest midfield pairing is Downs and Souček in there if Paqueta goes. And we wouldn't really have another midfielder because we lost Lanzini as well, another excellent talent. So for me, it's damaging to hear that Man City want him at this stage of the transfer window, because he could easily be tempted by that, and I think he will be tempted by that if the right offer comes in for him. And I think he would be absolutely mad to turn them down, to be honest, from a footballing perspective. Why wouldn't you want to go and play under the best manager in the world, with some of the best players in the world, and competing for the best honour in the world in the Premier League? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think we need to hold very, very firm on this one. I think we need to kind of categorically say he's not for sale this summer. And then if it takes an extortionate bid, I'm talking in the free figures, over 100 million, then you consider it. Then you have to simply consider it, because you're unlikely to get that kind of offer again. But yeah, I would not be accepting anything unless it's absolutely ridiculous money. And Man City have just spent a lot of money on Gvardiol. So will they be willing to go over 100 million for that sort of player? I don't think so. It just then becomes if Paqueta decides to disrupt, or Paqueta tries to force through the move. If he knows Man City are interested and we're kind of saying, well, you're not for sale, you have to stick around. Depends on the type of person or player he is. I don't think he would do that, but you just never know in football. As we've seen, some of the decisions footballers make aren't exactly the fans' interests at heart. And to be fair to them, I don't really blame them. If Man City come calling, you have to think about wanting to move. But yeah, I mean, it's a strange one to kind of come out this week, after we finally thought we were getting a bit of progression with Alvarez. We were being linked with the likes of Fofana. We really thought we were going to start making our mark, getting excited by what kind of our midfield three could shape up to be. If we lose another key component of that, we're going to really, really struggle to replace. Maybe it's why the reports that we're trying to get Ward-Prowse as fast as possible are coming out. Is it kind of linked? I don't know. That's just, rumors, just putting two and two together. But maybe that is the case, and we could be going for both Ward-Prowse and McTominay to come in midfield and replace both Rice Paqueta. That would be a disaster. I don't even want to think about that right now. So hopefully these rumors turn out to be false. Well, it's not false, but hopefully Paqueta turns out to want to stay at West Ham, and hopefully we stand very, very strong on our stance regarding the sale of Lucas Paqueta to Manchester City. And yeah, I'll be willing to see how high Pep Guardiola really wants to go for him, and how desperate they think they are to sign a player like that, because I do think they're lacking something in midfield at the moment. Losing Gundogan was a big, big thing for them. Kovacic coming in, it's a decent replacement, but he's not what I would argue Man City needed in that 8 position. He's not going to carry too much of a goal threat. He's not that much of a creator in the final third. Paqueta is that, and also has the defensive aspects of his game nailed down as well. So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Would you accept 70 million, or what kind of figure would it take for you to accept a deal for Lucas Paqueta this summer? Because it's going to be really interesting to see how we approach this after the sale of Declan Rice as well. One of our other key players. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Leave a like on the video as always. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and until next time, come on you irons.